Hi, everybody. I am Carolyn Byers. I'm the Education Director at Madison Audubon, and today I am coming to you outside in my garden. There's some cars driving by. I hear some crickets. It might start to rain. We'll see. But we are going to be reading a book. It's one of my favorites. It's called Over and Under the Pond. And we're reading this book because we're talking about habitats right now. And this talks about one of my favorite habitats, a pond. So at the end of the book, we're also going to do a quick nature journal activity. So if you have a nature journal, get it out now and grab a pen or a pencil. But you can also just use a piece of paper, okay? All right, so before we get started, I want to talk about what habitat is. And habitat is anywhere where a living thing, human or animal, finds food, water, and shelter. It's where it gets what it needs to survive. And there are lots of habitat types. If we're talking about animals, there can be forests or prairie, lakes and rivers, ponds, and humans live in all kinds of habitats too. They can live in those kinds of habitats in rural areas, or they can live in towns or cities. So think about that as we work through this book, okay? All right, let's do it. So this is Over and Under the Pond, and it's written by Kate Messner, and the art is by Christopher Silas Neal. Over the pond we slide, splashing through lily pads, sweeping through reeds. I can see all of the reeds here and lily pads, and two people in a boat. The water's a mirror, reflecting the sky. Sunshine and clouds, then a shadow below. What's down there? I ask. Under the pond, Mom says. And I see a kid with a skinned knee. I bet a lot of you have skinned knees right now. My kid does. Under the pond is a whole hidden world of minnows and crayfish, turtles and bullfrogs. We're paddling over them now. Can you see them up in their boat, looking down into the water? I see a frog, a crayfish, some fish, and a turtle. Over the pond, we skim past tall rushes. Whirligig beetles loop and twirl, skaters on a warm summer surface. Under the pond, minnows dart through waving forests of grass, while a brook trout lurks, ready to lunge. See the minnows under here? These are the whirligig beetles. I call them water boatmen. Over the pond, we lift and dip and pull past a row of painted turtles on a waterlogged tree. 1, 2, 3, they slip off and away. Splash, gurgle, sploosh, under the pond. They're up in their boat. I see some birds flying. I see some ducks sitting. Over the pond, cattails rustle and shush in the wind. Listen close. Conklery! Red-winged blackbirds race by. One has grass for her nest. Under the pond, a caddisfly larvae builds a home of her own, a secret shelter of pebbles and sand. You see the caddisfly larvae and her home? Over the pond, the shadows of trees lean out from shore. We coast under a low-hanging branch. A moose looks up with a mouthful of water lilies. We've interrupted his lunch. Moose are pretty rare in Wisconsin. If you're watching this and you have moose in your area, leave us a note in the comments. I want to hear about it. And there they are paddling. Under the pond, beavers dive deep. They pump with powerful tails and rise to the surface with delectable roots from the mud. Yum. They're big paddle feet. They have feet like ducks do. Over the pond, the wind gives us a push and stirs the light dappled leaves on shore. There, on a branch, a new goldfinch teeters, finally ready to fly. Can you see the goldfinch? Under the pond, tadpoles are changing, learning to hop. They're losing tails, growing legs, and growing up. Tadpoles losing their tails, growing legs, and growing up. Ready to hop away. Over the pond, there at the shore, tall and silent and still, a great blue heron stares down into the deep. It tenses, takes one long-legged step, and strikes. Ooh. It catches a wiggling quicksilver minnow from where it is hiding under the pond. Yum. Over the pond we drift, heads tipped up to the sun. A woodpecker clings to a teetering pine, digging for ants. I like how in the beginning of the book, we were underwater looking up at the boat, and now we're way up high in the treetops looking down at the boat. And there's another woodpecker flying. And this is kind of a different habitat than the pond. Think about what kind of habitat it is. Under the pond, an otter claws for freshwater mussels. I like the bubbles. Over the pond, a sleepy dragonfly lands for a rest. His spindly legs tickle my knee. They look happy with their damselfly visitor, or dragonfly visitor. Under the pond, dragonfly larvae watch what swims by. They catch minnows in monster fast jaws. Look at that. That is a dragonfly larvae. It's a baby dragonfly. So this lives underwater as a baby and then grows up to be a dragonfly. It's pretty cool. Over the pond, the shadows stretch. Ospreys circle on quiet wings. Raccoons and mink stalk the shoreline for supper. Under the pond, some big trucks going by. Under the pond, with a flip of a tail, a crayfish disappears into the dark. Ooh, it's getting away. Look at those sharp raccoon teeth. It's going to catch it. Over the pond, we head for home. We glide, swish, bump, right up onto shore as a far-off loon calls goodnight. The sky turns from sunset to dusk to dark. Night settles over the pond. The prowling catfish and drowsy turtles, the scuttling crayfish and tadpoles turn frogs, wading herons and stalking raccoons. See a frog? And the caddisfly all grown up. And the dragonfly all grown up. Can you hear the cardinals singing in my lawn? And the hidden world under the pond. You see all the stars reflected in the pond? Ooh, and at the end of the book, they even have more information about all the animals in here. So if you check this book out at the library, you can read about all those things too. Okay, so that was one of my favorite books. I love that it's a kid and his mom out paddling and that they get to see all of those cool things because those are things I do with my kid. So now we are going to do a little bit of nature journaling. So what I want you to do is grab your journal and a pen or pencil and maybe some coloring stuff. And this is just for you. So I don't want you to spend too much time worrying about how to spell things or making things absolutely perfect. It's just for you to remember. So the first thing we're going to do is wait for this truck. Ooh, it was a garbage truck. All right, now that it's a little quieter, the first thing we're going to do is I want you to draw an animal from the book, any animal that you saw in the book. And you are going to have 2 minutes to do this right now, but if you want to spend more time drawing later, you can. All right, so you have 2 minutes. Ready, go. And I know that I'm not showing you any pictures from the book right now, so I don't want you to worry about getting it perfect. Just try to use your imagination and also remember what you saw. Just draw an animal from the book. And I'm remembering raccoons and mink and a heron and a caddisfly and a dragonfly and those whirligig beetles and frogs and tadpoles and minnows. What else? There were brook trout. There might have been a bass in there. They didn't name it, but I think that was in there. I think I remember some turtles. Ooh, humans are animals. I remember some people in there, a mom and her kid. And I remember crayfish and the loon. And, ooh, it's been a minute. Can I keep going? I don't know if I can. There were a lot of animals in this book, though. Did I say turtle already? Maybe turtle. So if anyone is joining late, we are doing, I just read Over and Under the Pond, and now we're doing a nature journal activity about it. And you have about 30 more seconds to go to draw something. Draw one animal that was in this book. Keep on going. I really like drawing animals. It helps me notice more about them, and it helps me try and remember things about them. And if I forget something while I'm drawing and I'm like, oh, what do their fins look like? It helps me think of wonders, things that I need to look up later. Okay, 5 seconds and stop. Okay, if you want to go back and draw more on your animal, you can later. Next, I want you to draw something that happened in the book. So it needs to be an event. One animal did something to another animal, or the mom and the kid, they saw something or did something or wondered something, okay? So you have 2 minutes, ready, go, to draw or write about something that happened. And I'm remembering lots of things that happened, and this time I might actually flip through the book. I'm remembering this brook trout looking for minnows. And I'm remembering turtles slipping off of the log. What else? Ooh, I remember being excited about this moose. I'm remembering this heron catching a minnow. And there's one more that I'm really excited to remember. This one. The crayfish getting away from the teeth. Because I really like those teeth. I think the artist did a great job with them. All right, so you have about 30 more seconds to finish drawing something that happened in this book. Keep on drawing. I'm going to listen to crickets while I wait. Okay, stop. And last, we are going to draw or write about something that you wonder. And be creative if you're drawing, because it might be hard to say exactly what you wonder. So you have 2 minutes to write or draw about something that you wonder. Ready, set, go. And wondering things is a really big part about being a scientist. It's the most important part, because scientists are always asking questions and trying to find out the answers. And they might try to find the answers in a book, or a field guide or online, or they might talk to other scientists, or they might do experiments or studies. But really, all of that starts with their questions. So we are going to practice this year wondering and asking questions and really thinking about everything. And so I really love writing down things that I wonder. And so some things I wonder in this book, and you have about a minute left to write down or draw something that you wonder. Some things I wonder are, well, where are they in the world? What kind of lake are they on? Because they had moose, and we don't have moose in Wisconsin, so I'm curious. I wonder what kind of fish these are. They look a little bit like trout, but I'm not sure. I wonder what a minnow tastes like to a trout. I wonder what kind of duck this is supposed to be. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the loon. These look like mallards. I wonder if the artist and the author meant for this to travel through a season, because in the beginning here, this bird is building its nest. And these birds nest in the beginning of spring. But I know that back here, where did our goldfinch friend go? Well, do you remember where the goldfinch is? They say a young goldfinch is teetering, ready to fly. Those goldfinches, here they are. Goldfinches nest in August, which is at the end of summer, and this bird is ready to leave the nest. So I'm curious if we traveled through the season, because we also have these tadpoles growing up to frogs. That's kind of cool. You've got about 15 seconds left to write about a wonder. I also wonder if this family does a lot of hiking and fishing and canoeing and kayaking. It seems like they do, because this mom seems to know a lot, and this boy seems to have a lot of questions. Or girl, this kid seems to have a lot of questions. So I bet they do a lot of exploring outside. Okay, so the time is up. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this book. I hope you thought a little bit more about habitats. And I hope you are going to go outside and look at habitats around you and bring your nature journal and write down some questions. And we'll be back for more little quick lessons like this. Bye, everyone.